Today on Inclusive Academia, we are joined by Carman, Zahra, Holly Durston, and Jenna Smith of the College Living Experience, or CLE for short. CLE provides post-secondary support, including coaching for academics, social skills, independent living, career development, and executive function for neurodivergent young adults on a college or career path in 8 different cities throughout the U.S.
Hi there. My name is Holly Durston, and I am the National Admissions Advisor at College Living Experience. Jenna Smith, our Washington, D.C. area Program Director, and Carman, Zahra, our National Director of Outreach, are also joining us today. College Experience is a post-secondary transition support community for young adults with 8 locations across the United States. CLE is designed as a temporary but transformative part of our young adults' lives, tackling big and small goals with comprehensive experiential coaching and guidance in higher education, career development, independent living, and social development. More than a stepping stone, we are a foundation for building a life of possibilities, independence, and lifelong growth. At our 8 locations, we are intentionally placed in communities with significant educational and career opportunities, giving our students the options and choices they need to find the best CLE location to meet their needs. A CLE location choice is based for them on educational goals, hobbies, and community. Every CLE location provides comprehensive level of service while having its own flavor. Our 8 locations are Washington, D.C. community, Nashville, Tennessee, Fort Lauderdale, Florida, Denver, Colorado, Austin, Texas, Monterey, California, Costa Mesa, California, and San Diego.
Thanks, Holly, for putting it so beautifully. The way that we do that, we really break it into several different domains. So we're supporting students through social, independent living, career, and academic. We truly get to meet the student where they're at. And that doesn't just mean where they're at that year, that semester, but where they're at that week and that day. Everything we do is tailored, flexible, and totally individualized to the student that's in front of us. We believe in a holistic, whole person approach. So we are exploring the gray areas between those domains too, how to access motivation, what their purpose, what's going to fulfill them, career paths and building community, creating, navigating, and retaining meaningful relationships with their roommate, with their friends, with their cohort, finding their people, their tribe. We support students in managing their finances, paying their bills, exploring college and career options, really deciding what that next step on the path towards independence is going to look like. Now, we do advertise that we have 2 traditional paths. So for our students that are more career-based, and then we also have an academic path. But the truth of that is that it all bleeds together. All of our domains and our supports come together to support the whole person. And that means that most of our students are straddling both paths. For our career students, they might occasionally take a college class. For our students that go to college and decide that they want to figure out what the degree is going to be for. They want that real world experience. Where do they live? So our students, what is beautiful about this level of independence is that they get an apartment that's their own. So at all of our locations, we partner with different apartment complexes that offer the community base for our students. On site, we do have a resident advisor that's going to operate a 24-hour emergency line. This is going to be those late night calls of my toilet overflooded and I don't know what to do. I'm locked out of my apartment. How do I problem solve? So they are there to address those after-hour emergencies. Kind of the beautiful part about really being independent and what makes College Living Experience truly a different experience is that all of our students have their own bedroom. Most of them, in most of our apartment complexes, they also have the privacy of their own bathroom. And being able to manage an apartment with your name on the lease and all of the things that come with it, we're better preparing our students for what comes after the next step. Rockville. So this is my home base. I have the distinct privilege of being our DC area program director. What I love about our living experience is that we are based in the Fenestra out of Rockville Town Center. So our students are getting that urban backyard, access to an incredible public transportation system. They are in with their other community members, but we're able to offer them that city experience.
So what's really unique about CLE, and Holly kindly touched on this right in the very beginning, is that with those 8 locations, you're getting those unique flavors from each of the 8 distinct cities. Again, we're looking right here at the Fort Lauderdale apartment complex. You're still getting those 2 bedrooms, 2 baths. In some cases, it may be a 1 bedroom, 1 bath, but we really strive to promote that community building. And ideally, yes, they're going to live with a roommate so that they're put in those situations where they have to navigate those shared responsibilities, learn conflict resolution and collaboration. So those real world experiences that our students gain within these apartments, such as handling those household chores, managing those finances, organizing their own schedules, are invaluable for really preparing them for the future of independence.
And this is an example of our Austin apartments. At our Austin Center, our students, again, will typically share a 2-bedroom apartment with a roommate. We do have students who live in singles, and if a student chooses to live in a single for a variety of reasons, we are happy to accommodate that. Again, we do encourage roommates just to help them learn to live with someone who's not their mom and dad, share responsibilities, be respectful of each other's spaces, as Carman said. Part of and the biggest part of what we're doing with our independent living skill instruction and living in these apartments is the opportunity for the students to practice what they're learning. Everything we do at College Living Experience is very experiential. If they are meeting with their financial advisor once a week, they are opening up their budget, looking at what bills they need to pay and paying those bills themselves. Keeping track of the grocery budget, keeping track of what's my nutrition like, what am I shopping for? So all of this is experiential learning and not classroom learning, which is handy when, practice makes perfect. That's what we're really doing, is learning how to do those things on our own. This is an example of the schools that are available to our students at our Denver Center. All 8 of our locations, again, are very intentionally set in communities where our students have access to a wide variety of educational opportunities. Not every student who comes to College Living Experience is going to school, and they're not required to. If they're not taking classes, they are in our career development curriculum alternatively, but the majority of our students do attend classes on some level. As you can see from this list, that's everything from a community college to local private universities, state universities, even vocational and technical colleges. When students come to College Living Experience, they take a career development assessment, and that helps us help them map out their path. We have CLE students who come to College Living Experience who say, I've been accepted to the University of Denver and I would like to receive CLE services while I'm attending classes there. And we absolutely can do that. We also have students who walk in, like most 18 and 19-year-olds, and say, I really want to go to college, but I have no idea what I want to do. And that's where we can help them map that out. Being placed in communities where they have such a wide variety of choices is really beneficial. When they say, I thought I wanted to go to college, but now I think I might want to go to culinary school, that allows us to allow them opportunity to those choices.
Which brings us to the other side, right? How those two bridge together, and that we're meeting that student completely where they're at. And this is where the individualization really gets to get creative. We're not just about placing students in a job. We're about helping them find their purpose, developing those skills. What's going to bring them fulfillment? What is going to help spur that motivation? So across our locations, we work really hard to develop partnerships with career opportunities, with places that are going to speak to the passions of our students. For some of our students that might be interested in animals, where they didn't have a lot of potential to explore what that meant, what working with dogs, being a vet, being a dog behaviorist, being a trainer. So we were able to create our own service dog and training program so that we could speak to the needs of those students.
This is a sample schedule of a typical, not typical because none of our students are typical, but an example of a student schedule for one of our academic students. As you can see, their schedules are full, but not overly full. They do have downtime, and learning to manage that downtime is part of our coaching. But we also want them to realize that they're supported and have accountability and have that structure that so many of our students thrive in. Now, you can see from this schedule, this is an example that the activities or the 4 pillars of support are color coded. So you can kind of see how that breaks down on that schedule. Just at the top, we have executive function. That's that golden color, executive function coaching. When our students are new, and this lasts for as long as it needs to, students do get a knock on their door in the morning, a wake up. We don't want anyone to transfer from mom and dad's house to school and then find out that they're sleeping through class because they're just not quite adapting to their new environment. There is skill slippage. A parent will say, well, they were getting up independently for school every day when they were at my house. And then they get to their new environment. They may not be going to bed at bedtime. They may be staying up late. So we will knock on their door to make sure they're up and moving in the morning. We are not going to tell them to jump in the shower while we make them breakfast, but we will make sure they are up and moving in the morning. As you can see, and this is an example of this student schedule, they have that morning routine. We have built time in and it is structured. We're not there prompting them, but they do have that morning routine so that they know I have this much time to get ready for school in the morning. These are my goals. There is that space built in the middle, and then they start their appointments. This particular student is taking 2 classes. That's the blue, that's the academic, that's their schoolwork, an English class and on Mondays and Wednesdays, and a psychology class on Tuesdays and Thursdays. There is also, as you will see, the orange, the dark orange, that is their tutoring and academic support services. That's where we are building in that one-on-one tutoring and executive function coaching and academic advising. Some of that is one-on-one. Some of that may be small group. If we have several students who are taking the same freshman English course, we may small group them for extra tutoring or extra support. CLE students do have a tutor assigned to them for each class that they're taking that they meet with one-on-one twice a week. Tutors are there for content. You are also going to hear about a lot of that planning and organizing and accountability, managing our schedule, keeping track of dates and deadlines. Even so much they're getting coached on, gosh, my English paper is due by Thursday at midnight. I need to make sure I know how to log into that platform. Managing a student's inbox, all of that is part of that academic oversight and coaching, as well as advising. Students do meet once a week with an academic advisor, and that's going to be that person who is helping coach. What are my classes next semester? Am I using my services on campus? What's my plan? What kind of degree do I want to pursue? All of that can be part of that CLE coaching as well. In the light green, you will see independent living skill instruction. And that is where we are working with the students on managing their apartments and managing their personal finances. Am I keeping track of, keeping my apartment livable? Is my laundry getting done? Is my apartment being cleaned? Am I exercising? Am I managing my health and fitness? Is my laundry getting done? You can see on this student schedule that laundry is clocked into their schedule at 3 p.m. on Sunday afternoons. That may be because they need this on their schedule. We have other students who may not need laundry specifically put on their schedule because they can manage that sliding into free time. So it depends on the student and what they may need from us, how structured this schedule needs to be. If a student has a part-time job, you'll see their work hours in here. If a student has mental health supports, if I'm seeing my therapist or I have a doctor's appointment or even a dentist appointment, you will also see those integrated into this schedule so that they have that oversight, that guidance on where they need to be. Now, at College Living Experience, we know you know your schedule because we've coached you. We have helped you understand this. We know you are aware of what you need to be. We have helped you find the format to receive the schedule that works best for you. Once we know you know your schedule and where you're supposed to be, we're not going to call you and remind you that you have tutoring in 15 minutes. You will, however, see a level of accountability if a student doesn't show up. Their tutor's going to call them and say, hey, buddy, how come you're not at tutoring? So the students learn very quickly that we're not here to tell them what to do. We're here to help them be successful. Their success is directly based on their buy-in, their integrating, their level of input in all of this. And then, of course, in the light yellow, you'll see our social activities. Typically, we have 2 to 4 social activities scheduled weekly at every center. The students choose the activities they want to participate in. If we're doing something you don't want to do, you don't have to go. If you're not into tabletop games, you certainly don't have to come to game night. But we do set up an expectation of participation. You get more comfortable, you get more confident. We want you to have friends. We want you to have fun if you participate. So there is that coaching there. The students do also get one-on-one and small group social coaching weekly. One-on-one for personal goals, and then small group is where you're going to hear about those conversations about personal boundaries and healthy dating, all of those sort of things that just keep us developing self-advocacy. I recently sat in on a social engagement group at one of our centers where we spent an hour of talking about the protocols of tipping. You would think, how could this conversation take an hour? But it gave them a great opportunity to advocate for themselves, to express their voices, to listen to each other's opinions. And they did kind of come to a conclusion at the end of that meeting that none of us really understood it, but we're all going to try to do our best to support workers. So all of this, again, is integrated into their schedule. You can see a few social things, dinner with friends, that can be prompted. We can encourage a student. When I first started working at CLE, I was sitting with students who were talking about a movie that was coming out. They were very excited. They were going to go to the midnight release. Neither of them said, let's go together. So I said, hey, you guys live in the same building. You're going out late at night. Maybe you should go to the movies together. And they went, oh, that's a great idea. So sometimes they just don't think of it. Sometimes maybe they don't want to be the one to initiate. Our students tend to be social. We have introverts like any population, but sometimes they just need that extra boost in order to engage, make their own plans. We love it when students start making their own activities. That's the goal, but we do encourage and prompt that while we're breaking them in.
I do want to also include, because we are that 12-month program, so to speak, in community, for us, how do we increase that social engagement, right? We have students that come in and vote and submit their own ideas to the social directors. So again, for spring break, some students may be going to New York to watch Wicked on Broadway. No tubing. It's entirely up to the students to include their input so that it can be taken into consideration. But again, all of these really exciting social outings help promote that social capacity within our cohort and really drive that.
And to the point of the schedule, before we move on, this is how CLE meets the student where they are. If 1 week a student is struggling with their roommate because they didn't wash their dishes, we're going to add more social coaching. If it's finals week and they're struggling with feeding themselves and sleeping, we're going to add some more ILS. We're going to put some more tutoring in. So this is how we can really flow with what the needs of the student is. I'm not sitting behind the computer scheduling these sessions because I think they need them. We are talking to them week by week, day by day. What's working? What's not working? Did you have enough time to travel from your apartment to your class? Do we need to adjust what you're packing for lunch so that you can eat it on the bus on your way out? We really get to help this schedule become theirs. And to parent coach, so to move on to our parent coach professionals, this is, I think, a particularly special thing that CLE does very thoughtfully, in that knowing our students are going through an incredible transition. But the truth of that is that so are their families and their parents and the advocates and the fierce fighting that all of these families have had to do for so long to get these supports for our students, that it can be difficult to take a step back, to not be the one fixing it, to not answer every phone call. And so as Our CLE centers are focused on serving the student and being there for the whole person. We have contracted out a partnership with parent coach professionals where they are supporting the parents in what does it actually mean to let go? How does it feel? And what do you do on the other end when your student called you and asked you for more money because they blew their budget on DoorDash? How do you say no and feel good about it? How do you take those steps with your student to show them that you believe that they can do it without fixing it for them?
I was going to say, feel good about it, or at least not feel bad about it.
Yeah.
Tuition. So let's talk about tuition costs. College Living Experience is a true 12-month program. Our students typically will take time off over Thanksgiving, holiday vacation, spring break, although we do have students who are employed who aren't taking those holidays off because they have to work. We also, they can, and we encourage them to take a couple weeks off in the summertime for vacation, but we do not take summers off at College Living Experience. Taking summers off just helps them go home and unlearn all their fantastic new independent skills. So we like them to commit to 12 months at a time. A typical first year program includes 20-ish plus hours weekly of support services in the 4 hours or the 4 pillars of our support: academics, career development, independent living, and social skills. The CLE tuition does also include the residential advisor. Most of our students start in August or in January, and the CLE tuition will include 2 to 3 weeks of orientation. We like to start CLE a couple of weeks before school starts in order to allow them to adapt to their new community and their services and get their way around campus and know what they're ready to do before school starts. And it does include that career development assessment we talked about and the parent coach professionals. First year, full service, what we call a traditional program, is $59,500 annually. If we have a day program, and we do have a day option for students who are living at home with mom and dad or maybe living in the dorms, a day program is including our academic support services, the social skills program, and the career development curriculum. It does not include independent living skill instruction because we're not going to go to the dorms or mom and dad's house to make sure they're setting their alarm clock and doing their laundry. But there is a day option for students who are not living at CLE, and the day program first year cost is $45,200. Now, cost of living expenses, if the students are living in the apartments, is separate. Every location, cost of living can vary. CLE tuition is the same no matter what location you choose. Again, we all have our own, what is the word you use, Jenna? We all have our own flavor, but our services are on the same curriculum. Cost of living can vary. It is more expensive to live in Washington, D.C. than it is to live in Austin. So cost of living can vary. And if you're interested in any of cost of living, we're more than happy to provide that information. Cost of living is typically the student's rent, their groceries, their cable bill, their bus pass, recreation money, typical cost of living for a young adult. And then, of course, school tuition. If a student is attending classes at a local university, community college, technical college, you do pay school tuition directly to the institutions that our students attend classes.
You're also going to see that year 2 and year 3, if our students continue, the price is going to lower. And that's because the intention of our services is to back off and to throw all of our supports and all of our tools at them. And then as they start to master those skills, we're going to back off of it. As they no longer need those morning rounds, we're going to stop. So that we can really be that wrap around that safety net.
And as Holly and Jenna kindly said, we prioritize our students. So again, when we're talking about tuition at CLE, we prioritize making our services accessible to all of our families. And in order to help address some of these financial barriers, we actually recently hired a full-time team member And she is dedicated to exploring all of these alternative funding options, including grants, scholarships, and other resources so that we can help those families that really truly need us as well, just may not be able to 100% afford us. And so this new role actually helps assist those families in navigating those funding opportunities to make CLE more accessible. So again, if you're using your ABLE account, if you're military, your GI Bill stipend, in some of these particular states, for example, New Mexico, in Maryland, we've really found, and in California, of course, we found ways to help make CLE 100% more accessible, whether it's through state funding, county funding. We highly encourage you to reach out to find out more about these and also talk to your financial advisors because they always have plenty of resources to share with you.
Okay, admissions. So if you have any question about our admissions process, please feel free to call the 800 number. My partner, Jenna and I are national admissions advisors. Jenna manages the California locations, and I have the rest of the country. We are happy to answer any questions that maybe we aren't answering today, or that you have specifically about your student. How our admissions process works is that initial conversation with Jenna and I would like to take place. You can call the 800 number, or there is a link on our website where you can schedule an appointment, schedule a time for us to call you, or we can send you a Zoom link. We like to talk about college living experience and answer any of your questions. And then we will be asking some questions about your student for families. We want to talk about where they are with some skill sets. We want to learn about their goals and your goals and everyone's concerns. That way we can have meaningful conversation when you come visit the center to address more specifically what you may or may not be looking for.
And the earlier, the better.
I was just going to say.
Start the conversation early.
Start the conversation early. I have a special events in June. I call it June is for Juniors, where I'm scheduling those students who are entering their senior year to come visit CLE locations and start their process now. We do have an early decision or early enrollment incentive that's on our website, and you can take a look at that or ask me questions if you have about that. If you have questions about that, we have 3 application deadlines. Early acceptance, we've passed for this coming fall. That was our November 15th application deadline. Our priority application deadline, sorry, I'm looking at my dates, is March 1st. March 1st will allow, receiving the student's application will allow us to prioritize applying for colleges, picking academic programs, really getting to know the student, even maybe working with the student and some families on specific goals in preparation for their transition to CLE. And then we do have a late enrollment deadline in May 1st. That will still allow a student to come to college living experience. Everything gets a little rushed, but we do still have that opportunity. So don't let, I didn't call Holly in time, keep you from giving us a call. Absolutely. Give me a call. We're more than happy to talk about it. The majority of our students at College Living Experience start in August and in January. Again, they're used to starting school then. That's when school starts. But we do have an open enrollment policy. If it's the right fit for a student, we are more than happy to start them midterm. There are some complications there, as you can imagine, with matching up a roommate or maybe waiting half a semester to start school again. But we're more than happy to have those conversations, and we are open to open enrollment if that's the right fit for a student. Once we have our conversation, we do ask you submit some documentation, and we will schedule a tour for you to come and visit. Any professionals out there watching this, I absolutely encourage you to reach out to Carman. Again, the professional contact piece is on our website. Please feel free to contact Carman and connect with her to ask any questions. I mean, I can too, but Carman she knows things I don't know about the professional
But
side.
again, I mean, we're just such a huge community, and having different perspectives helps us really navigate those questions that some of those families have. But most importantly, we want to be a resource to those families. Again, one of the main points at CLE is how can we best help you, right? And what we ended up developing was this independent living skills checklist. And inside of it, there's actually each page dedicated to social skills, to medical skills, to financial literacy, all of these soft skills that we really truly need in order to be independent. So if you are interested in having one of our booklets shipped to you, please contact us. We're more than happy to send them your way. Start learning those skills early and often. So if you're in middle school and high school, even elementary school, we highly encourage you to use this booklet to your advantage.
I just want to add in a caveat to that, because I have this conversations with family when they get this book. It is deceptively comprehensive. You get this little tiny, lovely cardboard flip book. There's each of our areas, each of our skills are broken down into areas. Please do not look at it as a list of things that your student needs to do independently to come to CLE. If they could do all that without prompting, they probably wouldn't need us. But do look at it as an opportunity to start working on some of those skills so that when they are ready to transition into that support program, they feel comfortable and confident going, oh yeah, I know how to set my alarm clock. I do it at home. I know how I have my independent bedtime routine. I don't need to worry about that. We want the transition to college living experience. We want them to feel comfortable and confident and prepared. And that's where this checklist can come in.
Some families may be wondering, which students are good fits for the college living experience?
So that's a great question. Who we serve at College Living Experience. CLE is a post-secondary support program. So our students come to us after their secondary experience. That could be finishing high school at 18 with a diploma. It could be coming after the age of 21 when they finish their school district transition program. We do also have about 20 to 25% of our student population join us after they have had a not so successful college experience, or maybe they've had a successful college experience, completed their associate's degree, and are ready for more independence. Our students are neurodiverse. We are not looking for any specific diagnosis. We're looking for students who are ready for more independence. They are safe in the community. The good news about our population is they tend to be rule followers. We're not out here chasing them down at frat parties, but we do need to know that they're mature enough to make safe choices. We are not a mental health program, although we do have many students who receive mental health services, and we are happy to coordinate that within the CLE environment. They can see a therapist offsite. We have at some of our centers dedicated space for therapists to come meet our students in our locations. So that therapeutic piece can be integrated into their schedule, but it's just not a service that we provide. So young adult, neurodiverse, ready for more independence. The most important thing we always look for is that level of motivation. Are they interested and ready and excited to be more independent young adults? We are very intentionally designed as a transition program. Our young adults, how to not need us. So we want them to be on board and excited to be at CLE. Now, I say that all young adults have their off days. We have our off days. So if a student is tired or struggling, we have great cheerleaders, we have great coaching, we can get them excited to be on board. But it is very important that they want to be at College Living Experience. Who comes here? About 70% of our student population have an autism spectrum diagnosis. We are not autism specific, but what we do fits those needs very well. We also serve students with learning disabilities, ADD and ADHD. We've got students with brain injury. We've got students with cerebral palsy. We've got students, across the board. Again, we're not looking for anything specific. We're just looking for that young adult who will one day be able to live as independently as possible, and they are motivated to get moving towards independence.
A big thanks to Holly, Carman, and Jenna of the College Living Experience. Please subscribe to Inclusive Academia.